Hello, beautiful specimen, and welcome back to my channel, or to my channel. Today we're continuing with the Hazbin Hotel theme. This is for Alistair. There you go. I'll just keep this down there for you guys. Yeah, and I'm here with Ray, and one of my cats are in trouble because they keep trying to jump up on a table that has no room for them and knocking everything down right now. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to argue in front of our kids? So my partner is autistic and I have ADHD, which means our house is already a fun little cocktail of two neurodivergent adults trying their best. We recently got into a fight because he started raising his voice about me not doing what we had agreed, something about chores, while our kids, parentheses toddlers, were right there. I calmly told him I didn't want him raising his voice in front of them. Not because I wanted to silence him, but because I don't think our children should be collateral damage in grown-up arguments. Instead of cooling down, he got angrier and kept going, telling me I was being selfish for not wanting to listen to him and saying everything is always about me. I repeated in a calm voice that I wasn't going to continue the conversation like this with the kids present. He took that as me walking away from the discussion. Next, don't you dare jump over there. He tried to convince me he was calm by lowering his voice, but his whole presence just screamed frustration, so I declined. The kids were getting a bit unsettled, so I absolutely drew the line there. My partner tried telling me that the kids were restless because they were hungry, but I ignored that statement. He ended up leaving the room angry. Fast forward a couple hours later, he had visibly calmed down, and I asked him once the kids were in bed if he wanted to talk about earlier, but he said he didn't want to. When I asked him why, he said there's no point because he doesn't feel the things I felt earlier. He did apologize for his behavior, but told me he hates it when he can't talk about his feelings with me. I tried to explain to him that he absolutely can't, just not around the kids. Now I'm stuck wondering, am I the a-hole for setting that boundary and refusing to argue in front of our kids?
That is a totally fair boundary to have, and that is a totally fine boundary to have. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a boundary of not arguing in front of your kids, because that can ultimately do a lot of harm. And it's fine that you're both neurodivergent, and it's fine that y'all deal with things differently. And it is totally fine to walk away from a conversation and come back to it later. I've had to do that multiple times, where I walk away from a conversation, calm down, collect my thoughts, figure out what I'm actually trying to get across and what I'm trying to say, rather than attacking the other person. And that's totally fine. Now, you can't control how he reacts to something. You can only control how you react to something. So it is up to you how you want to deal with it from there.
Hey beautifuls, Shy here, editor. I'm just here to remind you that I wrote a book, and where you can get it, how you can get it, is down in the description below. Thank you, lovelies. Back to the video.
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear her purring on camera, but she's purring very loudly.
And she was trying to smell your makeup. Am I the a-hole for having a problem that my wife lied to me for 10 years? I, 41 male, and my wife, 46 female, have been married for 19 years. My wife was my first. She had according to her, 3 before me. I really didn't care because not my business. A few years ago, my wife confessed that she lied to me about something that she told me when we were dating again and again after 5 years into the marriage. When we were just dating, we went to the party and saw the county deputies working security there. She told me she went on a couple dates with him before me. I was like, cool, whatever. Fast forward, we get married 5 years later, we have a kid, and I get a job from the county sheriff. During training, my FTO looks familiar. I realize it's the guy my wife went out with before me. I was like, okay, whatever, I don't care. They just went out on a couple dates. It is what it is. I go home and I tell my wife who my trainer is. She says, oh, cool. I told her I felt kind of weird because the whole time we were training, he was talking about all the girls he slept with and how he was a swinger. Like, really crazy stuff. She says, well, I just went on 2 dates with him and did not sleep with him at all. Mind you, even if she did, I wouldn't have cared. I told her, even if so, not my business. It was before me. She was adamant that she didn't, almost defensive. I brushed it off and moved on. Come some years later, I get moved to days and work with this guy pretty much every day. I come to like him other than swinging. We have some common interests. One day he comes up in a conversation with my wife when I'm telling her about work. She seemed uncomfortable. I took notice and asked her why she seems off. I end up asking her, is it because it's kind of weird that we are friends? I told her I told her you said you just went on 2 dates, so why would it be weird? If you had slept with him, then I probably wouldn't hang around him or be his friend, because to me that would be a little weird and uncomfortable for me. She again insisted she never slept with him and only went on 2 dates. I said, okay then, it's not weird. 10 years of marriage at this point. During those years, a lot of jealousy from her and accusations of me cheating made my life very difficult. One day, while on a date, we were talking about stuff and exes came up. She had never met any of mine, and I told her I'm friends with one of yours, if he even counts as an ex because you just went on 2 dates. She responded with, well. She then proceeded to tell me that she did sleep with him. At this point, I'm not mad that she slept with him because it's before me. I'm mad because she lied to me for all those years. Not a lie of omission, but a flat out lie. I would have rather not known anything and she'd be okay. She went out of her way to tell me this lie. She brought it up and lied again years later. I felt like a fool because I was just hanging around a guy not knowing he slept with my wife before. He knew I was married to her and he didn't say anything earlier. I would have just kept my distance from him and not really cared if I had known. Over the last years, things have been the same. Still married, going through the motions. I love her, but I just think about this sometimes. I can never lie to my wife. I'm just here, just working a lot, and trying not to let my mind mess with me. Maybe I'm more mad because the accusation of lying and cheating with no proof, making my life hell, and she's a liar. She has been she has been causing several lies over the years. Lies mostly about money. She does it so well, it's scary. I don't think I can really trust her. Again, I don't care who she was with before me. Not mad about that, but mad about lying. Maybe I am the a-hole for even thinking about it anymore.
I mean, I don't really know what to say to that. If she's continuously lying to you and making you not trust her and stuff like that, then why are you still there? Like, I get you love her, but that's about the only thing I can say.
Am I the a-hole for telling my parents that even though I forgive them, they're not important to me anymore? Alright, I'm not that kind of person who shares her problems online, but I find myself in a situation where I think I need some neutral opinions. I, 26F, grew up with a good relationship with my parents and siblings, only some normal issues or fights from time to time, but overall everything was good. When I was 17, I left town to study and I came back once I graduated at 22 with my then boyfriend of a year, Joan, 31M. They really, really liked him. All my family, they were thrilled when we got engaged the next year, even though it's not common in my country to marry that young. I found out that Joan cheated on me a couple of months after that. To keep things short, I won't explain how it's not important. Of course, I was devastated and went to look for comfort at my parents' house. They were comforting me at first, but then slowly started to try to manipulate me into taking him back. That these things were common in relationships, and it wasn't the end of the world. That Joan was a good guy and the right guy for me. They kept insisting, and they even brought him home when I made it clear I didn't want to see him. This made me take the decision of moving in with my best friend, who was kind enough to take me in. Like 2 months went by, and my parents kept insisting, and so did Joan. I was extremely exhausted, and I told them I would never speak to them if they kept annoying me, so they stopped. One night, shortly after this, I ended up sleeping with my ex from secondary school. Again, not important how. And somehow Joan found out and got more and more insistent. He began to cross the line and would show up at my work and my house. He sent threats to my ex and some of my friends, so I got a restriction order. My parents knew about this, and I still learned from my siblings that they were still talking to him and speaking badly about me behind my back to the other family members. telling them I was overreacting. I'm the kind of people who does not need a final confrontation for closure or anything like that. I don't need to tell people what they did wrong because I know it's a waste of time and that they know what they did wrong. I don't have to say it, so I decided to change my number and tell the rest of the family to not share any more information about me with them. And I ended up applying for a job in another country to get away from the whole mess. I just needed a break. I moved back to my country at the end of the year. I moved to a small city, to a small but comfortable and cheap apartment. I started dating someone my age seriously and just managed to get my life together. Like 3 months ago, I decided to give a call to my parents, and they were happy to hear from me. We arranged a meeting, and they apologized countless times about what happened with John. They said they viewed him as a family and couldn't accept to learn that he was a bad guy. They admitted they were wrong and apologized for hurting me and not protecting me from them. I accepted the apology and agreed to keep contact. If I'm being honest, I did it mostly because I felt obligated because they're my family, not because I actually wanted to. We have spoken ever since, but haven't visited. They asked me where I was going to spend the holidays, and I said I was going to spend Christmas with some friends and New Year's with my boyfriend's family. They were upset I didn't want to spend the holidays with them. And then they started saying I haven't visited either and never initiate conversations. And I was honest and told them that I forgave them because I felt obligated, because they were family, but they simply no longer had an important spot in my life. There was a big silence over the phone. I simply told them I would speak to them later. Now the rest of the family is not exactly calling me an a-hole, but they were saying I stepped out of line and was way too cruel to them. I don't know right now. A part of me feels perhaps I was too cruel. Could have just told them I had already made plans or something. But I don't want to lie either. Honestly, I know things will never be the same. What they did was pretty messed up, and it just killed the image I had of them. I don't know. I put myself in their place, and what they did seems even more messed up. I could never see myself doing that to my daughter. If I have one someday, it's just made me lose all respect for them. Also, I cannot change my feelings. I still love them, but I not only lost respect, but the trust, and the feeling of not feeling comfortable whenever I speak to them. That is just there. Anyway, am I the a-hole?
No, you have every right not to speak to them based off of what they've done. They tried to push a very uncomfortable, very hurtful prerogative on you and refused to give it up. Like, I get it. They saw him as family, but it's not worth it. Whatever makes you happy. Life is too short to not be happy and to stay miserable. So, no, you're not.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to go on a family Christmas trip after my dad backed out of our agreement? When I was 14, my parents wanted me to quit gaming and focus on real skills. I loved gaming and streaming, but my dad especially thought it was a waste of time. He kept pushing me to get a job instead. He made a deal. If I got a job, kept my grades above a 3.5 GPA, and saved $3,000 by the time I would turn 18, he'd take me and a friend on a week-long trip to Japan for Christmas break senior year. No parents, just me and whoever I wanted, and he'd cover all the expenses. Japan is my dream destination. I wanted to go since I was a kid. I worked my butt off, got a job at 15, bussing tables, worked every summer and most weekends during school, kept my GPA at 3.7, saved way more than 3,000. I'm 18 now and have almost 5,000 saved. Last week, my dad sits me down and says we need to talk about the Japan trip. I'm getting excited thinking he wants to start planning. Instead, he goes, so I looked at flights and hotels. It's going to be like 8,000 total. That's insane. So here's what we're going to do. You can take the 3,000 you saved and we'll do a road trip somewhere in the U.S. instead. Maybe Seattle or something. I was like, what? We had a deal. He said, yeah, and I kept my end. I'm taking you on a trip. I said, that's not what we agreed on. He said we never put it into writing that it specifically had to be Japan, and I should be grateful he's offering anything at all, that most kids don't get trips. I told him I'm not going, that he completely betrayed me, and I spent 4 years working towards this specific thing. He's saying I'm being ungrateful and dramatic, that I should have just been, that I should have known an international trip was unrealistic, but he's the one who suggested Japan in the first place. Now my whole family is mad at me for ruining Christmas because apparently he'd already planned the Seattle trip and got an Airbnb. I told him I'd rather stay home than go on a trip. That's basically my dad admitting his word to mean nothing. Mom says I'm being stubborn and needing to let it go, that I did accomplish something and should be proud. Am I the jerk?
No, you were promised something. He even was the one that said, hey, it could be Japan or should be Japan or whatever the wording he used. And then he backed out. Like, it was a fantastic goal to set, so that way you could learn work ethic and how to get by with everything and be independent. But taking that away from you afterwards, that, to me, you're not the a-hole, right? I'm gonna do my finishing touches and I'll be right back. And I'm back with my what? I am back with the finished look. It's giving, like, I want to go to a roller rink kind of deal to me. Not in a bad way. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Bye!